Welcome to Investors Insights, episode 175. Today we'll be discussing earnings, retail sales, and productivity. Don't forget to connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. We'd like to continue the discussion there. So guys, let's get right started.
You're listening to Investors Insights with Greg Powell and the Portfolio Strategy team from Five Plan Partners.
So there's a lot to cover today. Greg is out, so it's the three of us. First, let's talk about earnings. We're at the tail end of earnings season. And while earnings have beat expectations, expectations were so low, so it's not really surprising. So Trey, talk about earnings and how it's in relation to the markets.
Definitely. So what we're looking for, what we were hoping to get out of earnings, what we're looking for going forward is what's the catalyst that's going to move the markets higher from here, and then and through that your portfolio is higher. So over the last 18 months, we've really seen earnings dip a little bit and fall back. So that's why we've seen the markets really kind of level off. We've really had a good momentum trend, but that kind of seems to level off. For example, over the last week, we ended the week at 2,184 on the S&P 500. That's positive for the week, but it's only up 2 points. Over the last month, the S&P is up 32 points. That's very good, but we've kind of really rolled off. Over the last little over a year and a half since the highs of last year, the market now at 2184 hit a high mid last year of 2134, so 50 points. So it seems like we're moving very, very positively. But what's hindering that from continuing on? Well, when the market moves flat for that long, typically you have earnings catch up and make the market inexpensive, which then allows for the next leg up, the catalyst. Really, you kind of stair-step market. So why isn't that really happening? Well, that's because unlike normal markets, the earnings haven't really been increasing. They've in fact been falling. As you can see on a chart, we're going to show that the earnings have continuously fallen over the last 12 months. So while the market's kind of flatlined, improved a little bit, it's gotten more and more expensive. And so what we're looking for, we're kind of fighting two markets. We've got technical strength. We've broken out above resistance. We have a very easy Fed, but then we also have, from a fundamental standpoint, the market appears to be expensive. And so what's the catalyst that can improve fundamentals or be our next leg higher? With the technicals seem to have been stretched to this point. And so what we're looking for is if P stays flat, then can earnings catch up and make it less expensive? If otherwise, if E can't catch up to P, the big risk is, does P, the price, catch up, come down to earnings? That's the big risk. And we're really looking for a lot of good catalysts to see, can earnings turn around? Can we start getting improvements? And can we get this market going from fundamentally very overpriced to a more reasonable price point?
Yeah, earnings don't match prices.
No, not at this point. We've had continuously dropping earnings, and that's where we're getting a little concerned. And a lot of that comes from the fact that productivity, the amount of output per hour worked, has really been decreasing, and we need that to turn around. And actually has brought a really good report this morning on that.
Yeah, on the earnings part, we were researching a McKinsey report that said over the next few years, about 47% of the job market will be impacted by technology, really above and beyond what you normally think of. Really, the best way to explain that is that we all think of technology enhancing like manufacturing it has. And the best analogy we can give you is like a robot on an auto manufacturing line. So that's what we've historically had to improve productivities to push earnings up on this formula that Trey is talking about. Going forward, what we're probably going to see is a lot more of that technology and automation moving into professional and white-collar roles. One of the interesting ones we were reading about, for example, in law firms, they're beginning to use computers with very, very quick search engines to do case study building that they used to do prior to that with somebody they would hire as a staff attorney out of school. So that type of shift, we think, over the next 5 to 10 years, doing a lot of that productivity enhancement in an industry where you haven't seen it or where you're not used to it, could really push that earnings component up long term. Yeah. That could be one factor to help.
Yeah, and another thing is, last week we talked about the consumer and how important the consumer is.
Yes.
Well, retail sales came out last week flat. Now, we'd had 3 months of an upswing in retail sales, and so we need that to go back up. So also an interesting point is, with the Brexit going on overseas, the thought is that would really hurt their economy. Well, retail sales in Europe and the European Union were actually up 2% last month. So that's interesting. Maybe the Brexit fears were overblown. So we'll continue to watch that. But But as you can tell, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of topics that we can cover. So if there's anything else that you would like to hear, please call us or email us and we'll cover it. And so thanks so much for watching. Have a great week.